Captain Mira Solis's heart pounded like the roar of a collapsing star, echoing in the silence of the Celestial Maiden's command deck. Shadows of lost worlds danced across her determined eyes as she braced against the surge of raw, stifling dread. The distant hum of ancient engines melded with the frantic whispers of a universe awakening, each pulse of light a call to reclaim humanity's forgotten legacy. Tonight, destiny itself trembled in anticipation of the inevitable collision of myth and reality. In the vast void of the Celestine Verge, the flagship glided like a silver arrow through an inky sea of cosmic wonder. Every corridor aboard the Celestial Maiden whispered secrets of old, echoes of triumphs and tragedies long obscured by time. The metallic walls, cool and unyielding, shone with a faint luminescence, reflecting the stars that pierced the darkness outside. Captain Mira strode purposefully through these halls, her mind a tumult of memories and determination. Each step resonated with the weight of humanity's storied past, a legacy once thought to be but a myth, now demanding rebirth. Mira's thoughts swirled around the relentless drive that had propelled her to command this expedition. She remembered the fevered tales of lost civilizations, the whispered legends of a people whose resilience had sparked hope in the darkest corners of space. That hope was her compass in a universe that had long forgotten the warmth of human spirit. The air in the command deck carried a blend of ozone and machine oil, a reminder of the technological marvels that enabled her to reach these forbidden frontiers. Even amidst the hum of machinery and the cold precision of interstellar navigation, her heart burned with an untamed desire to restore what was lost. Outside the expansive viewport, the Celestine Verge sprawled in an endless canvas of shimmering nebulae and distant, quivering stars. Each celestial body flickered with secrets, as if daring the crew of the Celestial Maiden to uncover their hidden stories. The silent void was alive with the soft murmur of cosmic winds and the distant echoes of ancient battles fought among galaxies. It was a realm where myth and reality intertwined, a place where the legends of old were poised to awaken, ready to challenge the boundaries of what was known. Yet, beneath the awe-inspiring beauty of the cosmos, tension simmered. Rumors of an ancient empire, the Krell, had long haunted the interstellar maps, a civilization whose presence was etched in the annals of forgotten lore. Their territory, a bastion of tradition and unyielding order, lay just beyond the fringe of human exploration. For Mira, the possibility of encountering these formidable beings was both a perilous threat and an irresistible call to adventure. Every sensor reading, every flicker on the command display, whispered of an impending encounter that could redefine the destiny of her people. As the Celestial Maiden sailed deeper into uncharted space, Mira's resolve hardened. She recalled the weight of expectation borne by those who dared to dream beyond the confines of Earth's fated history. Her crew, a mosaic of seasoned veterans and bright-eyed explorers, looked to her not merely as a commander but as a beacon of hope. In their silent camaraderie, Mira saw the reflection of every lost story and every suppressed ambition that had ever dared to reach for the stars. In that charged moment, with the vastness of the universe pressing in around her, Captain Mira Solis felt the full force of her mission. The legacy of humanity, a legacy forged in struggle, hope, and the relentless pursuit of truth, demanded more than mere survival. It required a renaissance, a bold reclamation of identity that would stand in defiance of the cosmic void and the ancient powers that sought to bury the past. The Celestial Maiden was not just a vessel, it was a promise to awaken the dormant spirit of a people who had once been dismissed as mere fiction. Mira paused at the helm, her eyes locking onto the radiant chaos of starlight beyond the viewport. In that moment, the future shimmered with both peril and promise. Every sensor blink, every hum of the engine, and every heartbeat affirmed the certainty that the time for legends had arrived. The journey into the unknown was not just a passage through space, it was a pilgrimage toward reclaiming a forgotten truth, a truth that would shake the very foundations of the cosmos. A sudden jolt rippled through the Celestial Maiden as alarms shattered the steady hum of the command deck. Captain Mira Solis stiffened at the cascade of sensor alerts, a dense, luminous web of unknown signals exploding onto the displays. The human fleet, long whispered about in myth and legend, had pierced the impenetrable veil of Krell space. In that heartbeat, the universe seemed to hold its breath. Every crew member felt the tremor of the unknown. The metallic corridors buzzed with urgency, voices rose in a symphony of commands and anxious speculations. Unidentified vessel approaching at tactical speed crackled over the intercom, punctuating the charged atmosphere with stark dread. Mira's eyes, sharp and unwavering, darted between the sensor arrays and her trusted officers. She inhaled deeply, trying to steady the turbulent blend of awe and apprehension that swirled within her. Across the cosmic divide, on the sleek, foreboding vessels of the Krell Patrol, the breach ignited chaos. Ancient protocols, etched into the very fabric of their collective memory, dictated immediate response. Their sensors, tuned to the subtle rhythms of tradition and power, flared with bright, warning hues. The sterile corridors of their warships echoed with the cold, mechanical precision of alert systems and rapid, clipped orders as Krell sentinels scrambled to intercept the intruders. A tense, static-laced dialogue crackled through the channels, a fragile bridge between two worlds at war with destiny. "This is Command. We have confirmed the presence of the human fleet," intoned a measured yet unmistakably alarmed voice from the Maiden. Simultaneously, on the other end, a resonant, imperious reply from a Krell officer declared, "All units, intercept immediately. Do not allow the myth to become reality." The words hung in the void, heavy with centuries of suspicion and unresolved legends. Within the command deck of the Celestial Maiden, the atmosphere transformed from anxious anticipation to resolute determination. Mira, absorbing every flicker of light and every hushed breath of her crew, knew that this breach was not merely a tactical maneuver, it was the first strike in a war of legacy and ideology. As the ship accelerated toward the unknown, every sensor beep and every whispered command became a clarion call for the reclamation of humanity's lost honor. In that charged moment of crossing forbidden boundaries, the cosmos itself seemed to pulse with the promise of impending conflict. The divide between myth and reality blurred as two ancient forces prepared to clash, their destinies inexorably intertwined in a celestial dance of fire and fate. The Nexus, a sprawling, repurposed orbital station suspended in the twilight of uncharted space, served as the neutral ground where destinies were poised to intersect. In the low, ambient glow of softly pulsating neon lights and holographic star maps, Captain Mira Solis stood at the forefront of a makeshift diplomatic chamber. The air was charged with both tension and fragile hope, as if every particle in the room vibrated with the echoes of long-forgotten myths and the promise of a transformative future. At the center of this chamber, a circular table of brushed titanium reflected the gentle light, its surface etched with symbols of bygone eras and cosmic lore. Myra's gaze was fixed on the swirling holographic projection before her, a solemn, austere visage that flickered into focus. High Chancellor Vrex appeared not as a physical presence, but as an almost spectral figure, his piercing eyes conveying centuries of tradition and unyielding duty. His image, projected in cool, crystalline clarity, was both a window into an ancient civilization and a mirror of the challenges that lay ahead. A heavy silence blanketed the room before the first words cut through the stillness. Captain Myra's voice, calm yet resolute, resonated with a measured urgency. "High Chancellor Vrex, we come not as conquerors, but as seekers of truth. Our journey is one of rediscovery, of legacy, of shared destiny. We are flesh and blood, not myth, and our hearts beat with the same fervor as those who dared to dream before us." The holographic figure of Vrex remained unmoved for a long moment, his eyes narrowing slightly as if weighing every syllable. When he finally spoke, his tone was measured, carrying the weight of his people's storied past. "Captain Solis, your words echo with the cadence of ancient legends, a narrative woven through the tapestry of our collective memory. Yet, to cross the boundaries we have safeguarded for eons is to challenge the sanctity of our tradition. Your arrival disrupts the order meticulously preserved by my people." The room pulsed with the tension of their verbal duel, a conversation where every word bore the gravity of centuries. Myra's gaze softened momentarily as she considered the unwavering commitment in Vrex's eyes, a resolve forged from countless sacrifices and the weight of historical duty. "I understand your devotion to tradition, Chancellor," she replied, her tone both empathetic and firm. "But our destiny need not be a zero-sum game. The legends of old, whether real or myth, should not be a prison. They are a call to evolution, a spark meant to kindle a future where two cultures may find common ground." In the soft hum of the Nexus, where distant stars served as silent witnesses, the dialogue deepened. The chamber's ambient light shifted subtly as the holographic projection pulsed in rhythm with the speakers' voices, as if the very technology itself were attuned to the cadence of reconciliation. Vrex's next words emerged slowly, each syllable laden with the sorrow of lost eras and the fierce determination to preserve his people's identity. "Our traditions are the bedrock upon which our civilization was built. They are not relics to be discarded at the whim of a forgotten myth. The presence of your fleet in our sacred space challenges not only our borders, but the very soul of our history." Myra's eyes sparkled with both defiance and compassion, reflecting the countless memories of those who had believed in the indomitable spirit of humanity. "Our legacy is not confined to the annals of time, it lives within every decision, every sacrifice made in the name of progress and survival. We have ventured into the abyss of space not to erase the past, but to honor it by forging a future that transcends old enmities. Her voice, steady as the heartbeat of the celestial maiden, carried a promise that the truth of her people's resilience would not be silenced by ancient dogma. Outside the thick, transparent walls of the Nexus, the endless cosmos whispered its ancient secrets. Nebulae glowed like spectral fires, and distant pulsars sang a timeless hymn of creation and decay. The station's corridors, lined with relics of long-lost voyages and interstellar treaties, bore silent testimony to the fragility and grandeur of diplomatic history. In that moment, the voices in the void, both human and Krell, intertwined, crafting a narrative that was as much about survival as it was about understanding. As the exchange continued, Mira sensed the subtle shifts in Vrex's tone, an imperceptible softening beneath the surface of rigid tradition. In his measured pauses, she detected the tremor of uncertainty, a silent acknowledgement that perhaps the ancient narrative could be rewritten. "Captain," Vrex intoned, his voice barely rising above a murmur, "if your intent is genuine, if your people truly seek to coexist rather than conquer, then let our dialogue be the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where myths are not cages but bridges between worlds." Mira allowed herself a brief, hopeful smile. Let this be the first step toward a shared destiny, where the voices of our ancestors, once mired in conflict, now sing in unison for the future. Her words, imbued with the weight of human hope and determination, resonated deeply in the quiet expanse of the Nexus. The chamber, once a battleground of ideologies, began to transform into a crucible of potential unity, a place where even the most entrenched boundaries might one day dissolve under the light of understanding. In that delicate dance of diplomacy, each exchanged word was both a declaration and an invitation, a call to redefine what it meant to be a civilization in an ever-expanding universe. The dialogue between Captain Mira Solis and High Chancellor Vrex, unfolding in the silent void, was not merely a negotiation of borders, but an exploration of identity, of legacy, and of the profound truth that even in the vast loneliness of space, connection could be found. As the meeting drew to a close, the Nexus echoed with the promise of future parley, a promise that the voices in the void were not the harbingers of war, but the heralds of a new dawn where myth and reality might converge in harmony. In the quiet recesses of the Celestial Maiden, where the ceaseless hum of the engines blended with the soft murmur of distant stars, Captain Mira Solis sought refuge from the relentless pressure of command. In her private quarters, lit by the gentle glow of holographic archives, Mira allowed herself a rare moment of introspection. She gazed upon a rotating display of Earth's ancient landscapes, emerald forests, sprawling metropolises bathed in twilight, and the familiar, weathered faces of those who had come before her. Each image whispered of a bygone era when humanity's dreams burned fiercely against the canvas of the cosmos. The memories surged like spectral echoes in her mind, the laughter of loved ones now lost to time, the bittersweet farewell of a home reduced to myth. In the quiet, she vowed that the legacy of her people would rise from the ashes of oblivion, a spark of hope rekindled in defiance of fate. Half a galaxy away, in the austere halls of the Krell Sanctum, High Chancellor Vrex wandered through corridors lined with ancient stone and luminous sigils. The air was heavy with the weight of tradition, each step a reminder of the centuries that had forged his people's unyielding resolve. Here, in a chamber adorned with portraits of solemn ancestors and relics of a storied past, Vrex paused before an intricately carved monument. Its surface, worn smooth by the passage of time, bore the etched visages of revered forebears whose eyes seemed to follow him with silent admonition. As Vrex traced the familiar lines of history with his gloved fingertips, memories of his own initiation into the sacred rites of the Krell flooded his consciousness. He recalled the fervent recitations of ancestral lore, the solemn ceremonies that instilled in him an unbreakable bond to tradition, and the echoes of duty that had resonated in every fiber of his being. In that reflective moment, the Chancellor's heart pulsed with both pride and the heavy burden of expectation. For both leaders, the shadows of history were more than mere relics. They were living, breathing forces that shaped the contours of their identities. Captain Mira Solis clung to her past as both a source of strength and a beacon of hope, determined to reclaim a legacy thought lost. Across the stars, Vrex guarded the sanctity of his people's heritage, resolute in the belief that the ancient ways were the only path to order and survival. As the memories of triumph and loss intermingled with the present's uncertainties, both found themselves at the precipice of destiny. In that silent convergence of introspection, the echoes of yesteryear whispered a single, profound truth: history, with all its scars and splendor, was the foundation upon which the future would be built. The silence of space was shattered by a sudden, violent eruption of light and sound as the human fleet and Krell forces clashed in a ballet of war. In the void, the celestial maiden surged forward, its engines roaring like ancient beasts awakened from slumber. Explosions blossomed in the distance, brilliant fireballs that scattered stardust across the darkness, each one a testament to the fierce resolve of both civilizations. On the command deck, Captain Mira Solis watched the unfolding chaos with a blend of grim determination and heartfelt sorrow. Every blaring alarm and flashing sensor told the story of a struggle where legends and reality converged. The ship's advanced plasma cannons roared to life, their searing beams carving through the cosmic night as they locked onto enemy vessels. Myra's mind raced, calculating evasive maneuvers and counter-strategies, even as the gravity of the conflict threatened to overwhelm her. Across the battlefield, the sleek, angular warships of the Krell fleet moved with a chilling precision. Their coordinated strikes were a manifestation of centuries of martial tradition, each maneuver honed through relentless discipline and ancient combat doctrines. High Chancellor Vrex, monitoring the battle from his command vessel, issued orders in a calm, authoritative tone that belied the storm raging outside his windows. His strategy was methodical, each salvo designed to preserve the sanctity of his empire's legacy. Amid the clash, space itself became a canvas of contrasting colors and energies. Waves of plasma illuminated the void in ghostly hues, while fragments of shattered metal drifted like lost memories among the stars. The roar of engines and the crackle of energy shields blended into a symphony of war, a stark reminder that in the silence of the cosmos, the clash of advanced technology could be as violent and passionate as any terrestrial battle. In the heat of the confrontation, a miscommunication sent ripples through both fleets, a fleeting moment when the boundary between friend and foe blurred. Myra's heart pounded as she gave the order to brace for impact, aware that every second in this chaotic dance could be the difference between survival and annihilation. The tension was palpable, each decision weighed down by the knowledge that the fate of her people, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. As the celestial maiden darted through the labyrinth of enemy fire, Myra's resolve hardened. With every pulse of light and every crackle of energy, she felt the echo of human history, a legacy of triumph and loss that propelled her forward. In that volatile, heart-stopping moment, the cosmic battlefield became a crucible in which the true nature of civilization was tested, a dazzling, terrifying spectacle where myth and reality collided in a burst of fiery brilliance. In the shadowed belly of an ancient Krell warcruiser, where time-worn stone met the hum of futuristic machinery, an uneasy quiet settled after the cacophony of battle. The corridors, lined with intricate carvings and illuminated by a soft, spectral glow, bore witness to centuries of tradition and conflict. Here, in a secluded chamber behind reinforced blast doors, Captain Mira Solis and High Chancellor Vrex were to confront not only each other, but the very souls of their respective peoples. The chamber was a relic of the Krell past, a vast hall with soaring ceilings and walls adorned with the faded visages of long-departed heroes. The air was thick with the scent of ancient incense and polished stone, evoking memories of solemn rituals and centuries-old oaths. As Mira stepped into the space, her every footfall echoed softly, a poignant reminder of the weight of her mission. Across from her, Vrex stood with measured grace, his stature both imposing and weary, as if burdened by the relentless demands of preserving his people's heritage. A palpable tension filled the space, a blend of anger, sorrow, and reluctant understanding. The silence was broken only by the gentle reverberation of distant machinery and the quiet, synchronized breathing of two leaders whose destinies had long been intertwined. Vrex's voice, deep and resonant, finally broke the stillness. "Captain Solis," he began, his tone tempered by both authority and a surprising note of vulnerability, "today, we stand at the precipice of fate. Our peoples are bound by history, a history that has scarred us with both honor and regret." Myra's eyes met his with unyielding resolve, yet behind her steely gaze lay the echo of countless sacrifices and the fragile hope of redemption. "High Chancellor Vrex," she replied softly, her voice imbued with the quiet strength of one who has faced down the abyss, "we are here not to wage further war, but to unburden ourselves of the chains forged by our ancestors. Every conflict has left us hollow, and the legacy we carry is one of both pride and pain." As their words mingled in the dim light, the chamber itself seemed to listen, a silent guardian of the past and an unwilling witness to the birth of something new. Vrex's eyes, cold and calculating in moments past, now revealed a glimmer of doubt. "I have guarded our traditions against all threats, even those who seemed born of myth," he admitted, his voice barely rising above a whisper. "But the fires of battle have shown me that clinging to the old ways without change brings only sorrow." Mira stepped closer, the soft hum of the warcruiser resonating in the background like a heartbeat. "Our peoples are not defined solely by the triumphs of yesterday," she said, her tone both challenging and compassionate. "They're living beings, capable of evolution. The legends that once isolated us now call for unity, if we have the courage to heed their true meaning." Between them, the space felt charged with the raw energy of confrontation and the promise of reconciliation. In the brief silence that followed, memories of past conflicts, fleeting images of lost comrades and shattered worlds, swirled around them. The light from the ancient carvings danced across their faces, revealing the hidden scars of leadership and the desperate longing for a future free from the endless cycle of vengeance. Vrex's expression softened as he regarded Mira, his voice carrying the weight of centuries. "Perhaps," he conceded slowly, "the time has come to rewrite our destiny. To honor the spirit of our forebears, we must learn to embrace change, to see in one another not an enemy, but the mirror of our own struggles." In that moment, the distance between myth and reality diminished, replaced by a fragile bridge built on mutual understanding. The heart of conflict, once a chasm filled with bitter enmity, began to pulse with the tentative rhythm of hope. Each word they exchanged was a step toward healing, a recognition that the legacy of their people could be transformed from a burden of old grievances into a beacon for a unified future. As the chamber fell into a reflective calm, Mira and Vrex lingered in that delicate space between past and future. They had ventured into the depths of their own histories and, in doing so, discovered the possibility of a shared path forward. In the silent communion of their hearts, the promise of reconciliation shimmered, a promise that, even in the darkest moments of war, the light of understanding could ignite the dawn of a new era. In the aftermath of conflict, the remnants of shattered starships drifted like ghostly sentinels against the vast canvas of space. The Celestial Maiden, scarred yet unbowed, sailed into a quiet nebula where the turbulent echoes of battle were slowly giving way to the gentle murmur of renewal. On board, weary faces softened into reflective silence, each crew member carrying memories of loss and the fragile hope of redemption. Captain Mira Solis stood at the helm, gazing into the celestial tapestry, where distant suns heralded the promise of a new beginning. Within a reconstructed chamber aboard the Celestial Maiden, representatives from both sides gathered in a circle under soft, ambient lighting that seemed to cradle the room in tender warmth. Here, the stark lines of ancient protocols gave way to cautious dialogue, a conversation imbued with both sorrow and the delicate potential of reconciliation. The scars of battle, etched deeply into every soul, had softened the harsh boundaries that had once defined their worlds. As human and Krell voices intermingled, the air thrummed with tentative understanding. High Chancellor Vrex, his once implacable gaze now softened by the burden of shared grief, spoke with measured humility. "Our traditions have long been our armor and our chain," he intoned, his voice echoing softly against the metallic walls. "But perhaps it is time to reforge these bonds into bridges, not barriers." His words, spoken with the weight of centuries, resonated deeply with those present, their sound mingling with the quiet hum of the station's reactivated energy cores. Captain Myra's reply was a testament to the indomitable human spirit, a voice of conviction tempered with empathy. "We stand here not as enemies, but as survivors of a conflict that has cost us dearly. Our people deserve a future where legacy is celebrated, not feared. Let this day mark the rebirth of trust, a fragile dawn upon which both our civilizations may build anew." Her declaration, imbued with the raw energy of hope, stirred the room into a reflective silence as each individual considered the possibility of a united future. Outside, the nebula pulsed with life, vibrant clouds of interstellar gas and dust reflecting the first tentative rays of a rising star. The natural light, soft and persistent, bathed the assembly in an ethereal glow that seemed to whisper promises of renewal. In that celestial glow, the stark realities of the past were gradually replaced by visions of a shared destiny, one where myths could be reshaped into narratives of unity rather than division. As negotiations unfolded, technical officers from both fleets worked side by side, their efforts a quiet yet powerful symbol of the new alliance forming in the wake of conflict. In the corridors of the reassembled vessel, small gestures, a shared meal, a collaborative repair spoke louder than any formal treaty. The language of trust, though still tentative, began to bridge the divide between two cultures once defined by endless war. In a final, poignant gathering within the ceremonial hall of the Celestial Maiden, Mira and Vrex stood together before an assembly of hopeful faces. Their mutual nod, a silent agreement born of hardship and understanding, was a promise that the future would be shaped not by the ghosts of their past, but by the collective will to rise anew. Every whispered prayer, every cautious smile, and every determined step echoed with the realization that the dawn was fragile, yet full of potential, a new chapter written not in the ink of conquest, but in the shared dream of peace. With the first light of this new era glistening on their faces, the assembled representatives vowed to nurture this fragile dawn. As the ship sailed deeper into the uncharted realms, the stars themselves bore witness to a transformation long foretold by the ancients, a metamorphosis from enmity to unity, from myth to a living, hopeful reality.